Hi guys, I wanted to jump on here and talk about a movie. It's been a little while since I've done that. I think Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City was the last time I felt the need to get on here. Um, my wife and I just watched this really cool movie, this Korean film. Um, but the way it started and the reason we even knew about this movie was I was at the store and I saw this silly looking superhero movie, which anybody who's talked about movies with me knows I'm really sick of superhero movies. That's kind of like the thing that needs to go with modern day filmmaking. I'm over it. I'm right. I wrote a superhero movie, and it is very anti. It's a very anti superhero movie, and people are doing that too. So even that's kind of like like superheroes are so dumb. But with that said, there's been really cool movies that have come out of this superhero craze. One of my favorites over the last couple of years that I found was a movie called Gundala, which is an Indonesian superhero flick. He's kind of like a Thor type character. He uses lightning to get beefed up, but I enjoyed that movie because it was in Indonesia, which I don't know a lot about Indonesia. It's kind of a different world, and that can always make a film more interesting. Um, but it's just so graphic and over the top violent that it was just I don't know. I really dig that movie. The fight scenes in it are cool. There's like yeah, it's a good movie. It's like RRR, RRR is finally like getting that recognition it deserves. My buddy told me to watch that movie about a year ago, and my wife and I finally watched it, 6 months ago, and then it finally blew up, which is a not Bollywood, Tollywood. I think it's a Tollywood flick. There's different. Yeah, India's a big place. Anyways, I got this because it's Indonesian, and I was like, oh, cool. Let's check this out. I really liked Gundala, and my wife thought Gundala was cool, and she likes superhero stuff. So it's kind of like two things that we can enjoy together. This movie fucking sucked. We made it an hour into it, and we fell off. This is what Gundala is to like like Indonesia's take on like the Avengers and stuff. This is like Indonesia's take on like fucking Power Rangers, or it's just tacky and weird, and it didn't work for me. Sorry, babe. Sorry, I wasted $10 on this. But I'm happy we did this because there's trailers at the beginning, and I love watching trailers. And we ended up seeing a trailer for a much better movie than this crap. So we watched the trailer. My wife got on Amazon and ordered it for me as a gift. Like she saw. We both were like, this trailer is fucking looks cool, and it was a bunch of convicts on a ship killing each other. Was basically what the trailer was. This movie wasn't even advertised as the horror film that it actually is, which is brilliant. So she ordered me Project Wolf Hunting. Let me try not to butcher his name. This was directed by Hong Sun Kim. He's directed some other stuff, but or he. I think it's a he. I'm assuming a man made this movie. I could be wrong. I don't know. There's not a lot of information on this director currently. I'm sure I could dig deeper, but I fucking love this movie, guys. So I'm on here to tell you guys a little bit about it without spoiling too much. There's no like weird like twists but it does the movie twists around like it's crazy. Okay, I think the first thing that comes to mind when I watch this movie, and I don't want you guys to take this out of context or be confused at what I'm saying. Project Wolf Hunting, the biggest movie that comes to mind when I watched this was From Dusk Till Dawn, and not because it's a vampire movie, and not because I feel like From Dusk Till Dawn is like one of my favorite like big like horror movies. And I'm just remember the first time I saw it. It's anybody who hasn't seen. I'm sure most of you've seen From Dusk Till Dawn by this point. I hope. From Dusk Till Dawn is a really good horror flick because the monsters don't show up until like halfway through the movie, if not like towards the end. So you have these two criminals who are trying to escape the U.S. and go to Mexico, and they're heading for El Rey, which is a place from The Getaway, not the Steve McQueen Getaway, the novel. I think Jim Thompson. The novel, The Getaway, has the final chapter. They make it to El Rey. They're heading to a place where they're only good and happy until their money runs out. And when their money runs out, they're left like eating people on the streets. So they're turned into beggars or reduced to beggars on the streets of this place called El Rey. So it's like heaven on earth instantly turned to hell on earth. And it's crazy. Check out The Getaway. Hopefully you guys know what The Getaway is. I don't know, man. I'm getting old, but that's like extra old. That's like way before my time. But The Getaway is dope. The Steve McQueen Getaway is dope. I think there's an Alec Ball. It doesn't matter. I am fucking rambling already, and we're only a couple minutes into this. So the thing that I loved about From Dusk Till Dawn is the movie starts with these two criminals heading for El Rey, and they're, you know, dodging the police, and they figure out a way to get over the border to Mexico, and it's just these two criminals. And you have, you know, you're following them, and you're invested. It's a good movie up to this point. It's very like a crime movie, you know? Like it's The Getaway. It's with two dudes. You know, like there's character development. Quentin Tarantino plays the creepiest fucking brother on the planet. And George Clooney he had just escaped prison, and his creepy rapist brother is helping him, and they're trying to get to El Rey together. And George Clooney needs to get to El Rey because he doesn't want to go back to prison, and he needs to get his brother to El Rey because his brother is a monster. You know, like he's a bad dude, and he loves his brother, but he doesn't want him to hurt people, like he does. So you're invested in this part of the story, and by the time I saw From Dusk Till Dawn, when I was old enough to finally see it, because it came out when I was like 8, I think I saw it when I was like 10 or 11. I was pretty young when I saw From Dusk Till Dawn. I knew there was vampires in From Dusk Till Dawn. I mean, anybody who buys a DVD now, there's vampires all over the cover. You know it's a vampire story. But it was still fucking brilliant. Like, when my parents went and saw From Dusk Till Dawn, they knew they were going to see a vampire movie, and they're watching it, and they're like, where's the vampire? You know, but it's still so good that it works, right? So, you know, they get to the strip club, and then the vampires show up, and you get your horror movie. But the thing that's good, and the thing that makes the horror part of it more horrific, is they had a good story leading up to it. You know, it doesn't have to be slow. It's very fast-paced. The very opening scene is them blowing up a gas station. Like, it's boom, 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 boom still. It's not a slow draw, you know, like a slow start, but it's still not horror. It's a different genre at the beginning, and then it moves into the horror. And I really like that. And I feel like Project Wolf Hunting does that. So you have a group of convicts who escaped from Korea to the Philippines, and they're being sent back to Korea. And the first attempt, things don't go right. So the second attempt, they decide to use a big old like cargo ship, and they put the prisoners on there. But as things progress slowly, like you realize like, oh, there's shit going on this cargo ship that's not necessarily in the interest of anybody on the ship. So you have your convicts, and they end up, you know, how much do I want to say? Shit doesn't go right on this trip. And they end up just sitting in the ocean, and things go from like, oh, this is bad for the cops, to, oh, this is bad for everybody on the cargo ship, because there's something on the ship that shouldn't be there. And this thing shows up, and it is a fucking very fast and powerful like Frankenstein monster, basically. This Japanese Frankenstein basically shows up and just starts annihilating. And there's so many people in this movie. I remember when it first started, I was like, there's a lot of characters to keep track of, you know, and it's in a different language. It's a different country. Like, I'm going to try and keep track. Okay. Doesn't matter. This fucking monster just shows up and basically wipes the fucking board clean of characters. And like the story, halfway through the movie, the story just brilliantly changes. And the whole thing is fast paced, and it is very violent. Like, this movie is so graphic. It's over the top violent. Like, I feel like they did a good job. They did the Japanese thing with the psst, blood sprays, and like there's blood pouring everywhere, and there's explosions and people getting their fucking heads smashed into metal, and most violent movie I watched in a while. It's really good. I think that's all I really have to say. It was just an over-the-top, violent, 2-hour it starts with one story, and then it just this fucking thing just shows up. You know, through it's not just, he doesn't just show up magically. Like there's a chain of events, and this fucking thing reveals itself, and it's so much worse than what the bad stuff that was already happening. It's so much worse. It gets so much worse, and then it just I don't know. I really liked it. I knew I was gonna enjoy it. I thought it was gonna be a little sillier and maybe cheesier. It was pretty good, man. It was good stuff. I really like. I've been enjoying Korean films. And I don't think I'm alone on that. I think a lot of my friends have been getting in. Like, what was the big thing? I forgot what it was called. The something games. Squid Games. That was a big deal. Like people really like that. And then they did that Big Brother, I think it was Physical 101 or Physic. Yeah, that was cool. And then there's all like the soap operas and shit that people are eating up now. Like it's South Korea's, man. They got some good stuff coming out. My favorite, I always liked Old Boy. Old Boy was my first like Korean film that I really enjoyed. But my favorite up to Project Wolf Hunting is might take the torch for right now. But my favorite up to this point was Train to Busan is like the only zombie movie I've ever seen that made me cry. Like I saw Train to Busan. Stephen King talked about Train to Busan before it came out over here, and I somehow got a torrent of it. And that movie fucking brought a tear to my eye. I wasn't like weeping or anything, but I can't name any other zombie movie that ever made me like emotional. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if I just saw it at the right time, but there's just something about a dad trying to protect his kid, you know, against anything. Like fuck, this is fucking terrifying. These zombies are like climbing everywhere, and they're crazy, and they're fast, and they're really dangerous and lethal. But I gotta protect my daughter. Like whatever, dude. Like there's something beautiful about that. Project Wolf Hunting didn't make me cry, so that's good. I don't really like crying. I don't cry a lot, but it was still fucking good. It was good. So I highly recommend this. I don't know. We got it off Amazon. I haven't seen it streaming anywhere just yet, but it just came out. It came out late last year, so I think it just came out here to the States. But if you like hyper violent, like crazy, like gore, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Because my wife doesn't really like gore, and she still enjoyed this movie. So keep that in mind. I don't know. And that guy's really scary looking. That's the Frankenstein monster thing that shows up later on. So when you're watching it and you're like, oh man, this is getting really bad, just know it gets so much worse. It's going to get so much worse. Check it out. Check out this. Don't check out this. I don't recommend this whatsoever. It's a really cool cover. Cool concept. Not a good movie. If you want something from Indonesia, go watch Gundala. I think it's Gundala. Look up Gundala. Gundala is cool. All right. Bye. Bye, guys. Why isn't this stopping?